There was once a moon who grew weary of watching earthly lovers beneath her silver eye. She had hung in the heavens since the first river learned to sing, lighting the backs of travelers and dreamers, the secret hands of women, and the shadowed paths of men. She had watched nations rise, kings fall, babies born, and hearts broken in the soft animal dark. Yet never once had she tasted warmth, or known the heaviness of flesh, or felt a heartbeat echo inside bone. So one night, when clouds parted like theater curtains, the moon stepped down. She shed her crown of pearl, her halo of orbiting stars, and descended on a ladder made of her own light. When her feet touched earth, she felt the shock of gravity, strange, intimate, like the first inhalation after centuries of holding breath. The world smelled of dust and pepper leaves, of wet soil and wood smoke. Crickets called her name. Rivers bowed. 1,000 ghosts sighed with memory. She walked among humans disguised in skin. Her glow dimmed to the softness of a woman's face. Her eyes held oceans beneath their lids. She knew nothing of the ways of men, only that they moved like branches in wind and burned like suns when they desired something. She wandered through markets, through music, through laughter and sorrow, tasting this life with cautious wonder. And it was there she saw him, a man lean of body, simple in speech, with a smile like an open gate. His hands were work-scarred, his laughter easy, and when he looked at her, he saw not the sky she once ruled, but merely a woman, beautiful, curious, unfamiliar. He offered her groundnut soup and shade beneath his roof. She, starved for novelty, accepted. She learned his language by touch more than words, for he spoke little, but his nearness carried warmth that pulled her closer like tides. In time, Moon married the man. She believed she could share constellations with him, that he might learn her rhythm, her subtle shifting phases, her hunger for reflection. She imagined a life where the night sky lived inside a home, where two souls could orbit one another like twin planets. The moon dimmed herself so he could hold her without burning. She cooked with earthly hands. She lay beside him through sun-hot afternoons. And though she shone for him, he did not know how to shine back. Still, she stayed, for even goddesses must learn by living. In the beginning, the moon believed love was enough. She softened her glow so his eyes would not ache. She folded her radiance like linen, tucked it inside herself. She learned to cook with earth spices, to sweep floors without levitation, to laugh at simple jokes and hold her tides in her throat. But something curious happens when a star lowers her crown. Men forget she ever wore one. The man grew accustomed to her light the way one grows accustomed to dawn. He took her presence as ordinary, like water from a tap or breath in sleep. He did not ask what fed her fire, what songs stirred her tides, what silence she carried from the sky. He spoke in short words and long pauses, like thoughts that never ripened. When she reached for conversation, he handed her stone. When she offered galaxies, he blinked as if she'd asked too much. Some nights he would roll away in sleep, leaving her glowing alone on the edge of the bed. Some days he wandered without thought to return, as if time were water and her presence a bucket that refilled itself. She taught him gentleness, how to touch a goddess without gripping her wings. She opened her chest like the first tide at new moon and waited for him to meet her in depth. But the man loved simple things, meals, errands, idle company. And though he cared in his own small weather way, he did not reach her waters. He forgot to ask if she hungered. He forgot to ask if she dreamed. He forgot to look upward. One dawn, as goats bleated and the compound stirred with sun, he woke her abruptly, pulling covers from her skin, thinking nothing of how cold air scrapes a lunar heart. She rose with silence instead of shine. That day she cooked while the man sat scrolling the glowing box of endless voices. She placed food before him, warm as devotion, and he asked again what meal they should eat, as if he hadn't heard her answer the first 3 times. She saw then that she had married not unkindness, but unawareness, a man who lived close to earth, and she, born of sky, could not breathe in shallow air forever. Something in her light flickered. A tide inside her shifted, not loud, not cruel, just inevitable. The moon began to wane. The waning did not come like thunder. It came like a whisper, the turning of a tide no hand can command. She no longer poured light into empty vessels. She no longer chased conversations buried beneath silence. She sat at the table like a queen remembering her throne. One evening, after many small forgettings, the man tried to hold her in the old way, not with tenderness, but with possession, as if her body was furniture he could sit upon to keep her from moving. He placed her on his lap like a captured moon, hands firm, words few. He said it was love. She felt it as shuttered doors. She asked for space. He answered with arms. She spoke of reflection. He offered restraint. And though she did not rage, inside her oceans pulled away from shore. Later, when the house grew dim and his silence thickened, she gathered her bags, 4 tides of memory, packed not with sorrow, but decision. She placed them at the threshold of leaving. She reached for her phone, her voice to the world, and found it gone. He had hidden it, tucked deep inside her belongings, as though holding her tools could hold her. He opened each bag, searching, rummaging through her things until the last zipper surrendered where he had placed what he swore he hadn't touched. The moon watched without storm, no lightning, no tears, just truth. He brought the items inside again, thinking perhaps she would dim herself one more time, but she had already risen. She saw him then with clear celestial sight, a man of earth who loved in crumbs, who cared in gestures rather than growth, who held a goddess like a prize, yet feared her freedom like eclipse. She did not curse him. She did not beg him. She did not explain the sky. She simply stepped toward her own horizon. For when a moon remembers her orbit, no hand can keep her grounded. She walks into night with silver ankles, her glow no longer bargained, her light no longer small. Some say the man still waits with open gate, hoping she will wane back into his arms. But moons don't return to houses where their shine was taken for routine. They rise, slow at first, then certain, until the sky itself opens to welcome them home. And if you look up some nights and see her full and unashamed, know this: she loved, she learned, she left, and the world is brighter for it. So you see, when some men think the moon will wait forever, but even the sky knows when to close a door. And after she rose beyond the roofline of what was small, she found her breath again, not the shallow breath of waiting, not the held breath of walking on someone else's floor, but the deep ancestral inhale that fills the ribs and rings the bones like bells. She slept alone, not lonely, but restoring, like soil after the harvest. Daughter, remember your name. And she did. She lit no candle for farewell, made no altar to ache. She simply sat with herself, slow and sovereign, a woman beyond permission. Days passed like pages turning. She ate when her belly asked. She bathed in silence. She read gospel and fairy tale, music in her pores like amber and breath. Even her sweat felt holy, a body releasing stories it no longer needed to carry. And the world began to notice. The wind leaned close as if to listen. Mosquitoes changed their flight around her aura. The floor remembered her steps like prophecy. Even the man who once held her as possession felt the absence of her attention like winter in his bones. He brought offerings: food, ginger, lemons from the green tree, help where he could not speak love. He stood at her door not as king, but as boy who lost a son he did not know how to warm. And still she did not bend, not from cruelty, but from new gravity. She was no longer a moon orbiting one man's shadow. She was the whole horizon learning to glow on her own, yet the moon did not rush. She did not leap into arms or escape into blame. She simply sat in her knowing, a woman finishing her season of silence, hormones burning like starlight, desire like storm on the tongue, but choosing herself first. Because sometimes rebirth is not leaving. Sometimes it is staying differently, not trapped in a lap, but seated in her own throne. not speaking to be heard, but speaking to herself, to spirit, to God. And when she walks again, whether toward partnership or away from it, she will not walk as captured moon. She will walk as sky, full, unapologetic, answering only to her own tide. A woman who remembers her rhythm can rewrite the whole world around her, and she has only begun.